Field sim. It changes everything.
So like I'm 3 minutes out.
So I can finally throw the rock.
Hey, check it. Okay, I feel unstoppable. Losing's impossible.
And put the ball where only I can catch it.
Thing they know.
Yo, hit boy, what you think?
I could make the biggest hit in the game, man.
You ain't lying, bro. We live?
Oh, we live.
You ain't made it till you got dollars. Go out and shop for you.
Taylor?
Wait, just...
We're live?
Wait, what? Slice up the defense with Field Sense.
You can do that too.
We need some big plays, big hits right now.
Say less.
Woo. Now that's a hit.
Touche.
So, what can you change with Field Sense?
I don't judge. I seen you staying down for the come up till I reign supreme.
Everything.
Let's get it. Yeah. Hit boy. We got another one.
The Irish NFL show is presented by the Lingus College Football
60
Classic.
seconds.
Get ahead of the game by visiting collegefootballireland.com now for information on the 2023 Notre Dame Navy game. Cassidy Travel, Ireland's #1 travel agent. Search Cassidy Travel for the best NFL packages both domestically and abroad. EA Sports, Madden NFL 23. Do more with Field Sense. NFL Game Pass. Watch all non-blackout games this season on NFL Game Pass with a link in our YouTube bio to sign up. The eyes of the footballing world will be on Dublin, Ireland for one day only today as we welcome Pat Fitzgerald and the Northwestern Wildcats and Scott Frost and his Nebraska Huskers to the Emerald Isle for the Lingus College Football Classic. After almost 7 months, competitive football returns with week 0 of the college football season, and Ireland takes centre stage on what can only be described as a monumental day for the growth of the sport here. Kickoff from Dublin's Aviva Stadium is set for 5:30 p.m. Okay. Good morning. Welcome in to the Aviva Stadium. We are a few hours out from kickoff for the Lingus College Football Classic, Northwestern against Nebraska. Michael McQuaid joined by Colin Cronin, Brian O'Leary, and Nat Coombs. We'll talk to these lads in a minute, but Nat, a warm welcome to Ireland, and not just yourself, but your team as well. Ben, Ollie behind us as well. Warm welcome to all you lads. And how are you feeling? This is pretty cool, isn't it?
It's special. I mean, we've worked together before. We've done the show before, but the age that we've been in the last couple of years, virtually via Zoom, and now here we are in the flesh. The sun is shining. We're hours away from kickoff. What's not to love about life right now?
I suppose not two storied franchises, right? Not much recent success between the two, but like a lot of history, and both teams really needing a win today for maybe different reasons. I suppose for Nebraska, it's all about Scott Frost getting it going finally. For Coach Fitz, he's been in situ so long, he doesn't do back-to-back losing seasons, so they're expecting a big bounce back. What are you hoping to see in today's game?
Well, it's really well teed up because it is an opportunity for both teams to kickstart their season, to turn around losing seasons last year and to set the tone. You mentioned Coach Fitz. We've been staying in the Northwestern Hotel and I bumped into him within 5 minutes of being there. And having covered American football over so many years, you run into all kinds of characters. I think of Pete Carroll. I think of Coach Flores last season. There are certain coaches that the moment you run into them, you realize they have this energy, this authority. They are going to be commanding respect. And you look at his history as a player as well. Within seconds, you thought, this is somebody, as you said, that is not going to tolerate back-to-back losing seasons. So those players will be definitely up for it. And then Nebraska, I mean, the fan base here is incredible. And let's be clear, representing both teams, fans have flown over in their thousands. So there is a good contingent for both sides. But Nebraska in particular have a huge contingent there. So they're going to be demanding, they're going to be expecting their team to start the season right. So it's keenly poised.
No, we did a week 1 show here last year in the Aviva, and at the back end of that show, we spoke about this game, and it feels like it's such a long time coming. You know, we've had so many difficult times during the COVID with games being cancelled. I think this is the third game that was scheduled. We're finally here with a game. You've had a great experience in terms of covering the NFL, and you know, in terms of the BBC coverage, you know, commentating on the games, and now this unique opportunity today. Can you just talk about your overall experience over the past few years covering the game with BBC and obviously ESPN, your podcast stuff, and then obviously complementing it with today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the luckiest man in the world in terms of what I get to do for a living, but this is a new experience for me because having been a kid that fell in love with American football and the NFL initially, obviously, as I started to discover more and start to cover the game professionally, college football appeared. Now, as listeners to our show will know, Ben Isaacs is in the house. Hey, Ben is our resident college expert on college days, so he's the brains of that operation. But I still love watching the games regularly, and that's become, I think, a big part of football fans over in the UK. Their love for the game, love for the NFL has extended to college football. But to be here and experience it firsthand is an altogether different proposition. It's interesting talking to players. I was chatting to Jay Bell, who's in town last night, and you talk to NFL players about their experience as pros versus their experience as college players, and they have so much affection for the latter for all kinds of reasons. But you see it up close. You know, one of the first things I saw getting to the hotel was one of the Northwestern players and his parents just sitting in the lobby having a chat, and you realize this is going to be such a special experience, really a lifelong memories for so many people here, not just the players, the bands, the cheer squads that have come over, and of course the fans.
I heard some of the bands yesterday, and I have to say, folks, really, really cool. Can't wait to see it today. And we've already promised Ben that he's going to be on the Notre Dame show next year. So I can't wait to hear it next year. I feel awful now. No, Matt, obviously, we've met you in London numerous times now. We were having a crack in Tottenham last year. This stadium's pretty cool, isn't it? It's really set up well, and it's okay. It's not in terms of you haven't got that big stand there, but it's still very good for this sort of game, and you really do feel very close to the field.
That's the key, isn't it? It's the proximity, and I think, of course, the Spurs stadium, but even the last number of Super Bowls, so Atlanta, SoFi, of course, and Minnesota, brand new stadiums have an incredible edge in terms of acoustics, no doubt about it. But there's nothing more impressive, I think, than being so close to the action and that proximity. So I think it's teed up perfectly.
I suppose now, just kind of talking about the college game, the fact that used to be that maybe college and NFL were so different. But what we're seeing now is in every position, right? I'm thinking Jamar Chase, I'm thinking Justin Jefferson, came right in, produced. But even on the O-line, right, we're seeing Rashawn Slater has come in and been a superstar. Tristan Wirth from day one looked like the best right tackle in the league. For those who are maybe not as familiar with the college game, it's super exciting, but this is not a million miles away from NFL quality, right?
Right. I mean, we had this conversation 10 years ago. It would depend, obviously, on the college team we're talking about. But the transition from college to the pros for most positions has changed dramatically, particularly offense, of course. And you mentioned some wide receivers there. Back 10 years ago, it would be a given that a rookie wide receiver is given a pass. If they have a standout season, relatively speaking, get 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, whatever the marker is, that would be exceptional. Now it's expected. You're expecting receivers to hit the ground running, and that is for all kinds of reasons, but not least, as you suggest, the closer correlation, the adoption of offenses and offensive mindsets and schemes by the pro game from the college game, which back in the day, there was far more of a gap for so many of the organizations, whereas now a lot of it is becoming more blurred, which is, as you say, makes the transition a whole lot easier.
And I suppose we're conscious that the UK now have 3 games. Germany now has been confirmed, and obviously it's a commitment to Germany for the next 3 years. And as you can tell, most Irish supporters are champing at the bit for an NFL game to be played here. There was friendly games in the late 80s, and the Steelers, who have an Irish heritage, were very keen to get over here. And we spoke to Coach Cowher, and we've had the former general manager on, and he's very keen to see the Steelers come back and play in Ireland. I know it's speculation, but at what stage do you think the NFL take Ireland seriously in terms of potentially giving us a game? Because ultimately the college game has recognised Ireland can host these games as a commitment for 3 years. At that stage, surely the NFL has to kind of take notice of this.
I think this is a big step forward for that. I mean, the commitment to the college games that you have over the next few years here shows that you can host, as a city, I'm talking specifically Dublin here, and as a country, you can host major events. If you look at the evolution of the international series and the London Games, the very first one in 2007 was a gamble by everybody's admission that was involved with it. And the suggestion was they might get one in a few years' time, but logistically it worked so well. There was an appetite for it. And a few breaks went their way because they were looking at holding another game somewhere else internationally. They couldn't, so that 2008 game came to London. But the key part of it was the precedent it set. We can host this. The teams are comfortable with it. There's not disruption. We were chatting about this in the bar last night, actually, that I know it surprised you that we were in a bar last night. We were talking about the importance of the Giants in that 2007 season winning the Super Bowl because, of course, it was a touch and go season and they did it the hard way. But it demonstrated, well, look, the Giants went on to win the whole thing. It's not going to disrupt our season, or the disruption clearly was minimal. So I think bring that back to your question, the fact an event like today, next year, with Notre Dame out, a massive, massive entity, that will set the precedent, and it will be clear that NFL games can be held here, and I hope they do. Also, the final thing I'll say on that, if Bill Cowher wants it done, it will get done. That, frankly, if whoever he tells, it will be done.
Well, there's the audio or the promo for the show now from that. In terms of not you have your own show, the Not Coombs show, obviously very, very successful. Was listening it to the drive down in Dublin, 6 a.m. the other morning, was listening to it. Let's very quickly, I know you're a busy man today, let's very quickly look ahead. We are, and this is scary, we are under 2 weeks out from kickoff of the season.
Wow.
And I know we've a game here today as well, but is there one thing that you're really excited for this season? Because it's been that season or that off season where we were joking in February about this, lads. It never stops. Literally, I was on holiday and the whole Deshaun Watson thing happened. Tim Patrick was out for the season, and I was like, "Is this ever stop? Is there ever a day in this league?" But it's fantastic. But it never stops, and it's going to be a hell of a season.
Yeah, you've nailed it. I mean, again, I remember when I first started covering the game, there was a definite lull or periods through the year where nothing really happened, and now it's just a 24/7 news cycle with it. And the NFL's been very smart with that. And this season, my God, where do you start? I mean, the NFC fascinates me. It's just absolutely wide open. I think there are going to be some really interesting sleeper teams in there that will surprise people. I'm big on the Saints this year. They seem to be, let's take the Saints. They seem to divide opinion. I mean, Greg Rosenthal was on our show recently. He was flying the Saints flag. Iron Mike's a little bit more skeptical. You can get so many different opinions about the Saints. Are they going to be not just a playoff team, but a deep dive playoff team? Or are they going to, 7-10 and bust with Jameis? And that's true of so many teams. I think there are so many teams in that middle, particularly in the NFC, in that middle grouping where it could go one way or the other. True every season, but it feels particularly acute this year.
I suppose another team in that bracket, but who've done, I think, a great job of supporting their young QB, the Eagles. Are they kind of taking the Bills model of saying, right, we have a guy and we're just going to build around him? And when you contrast that to say maybe what the Bears have done in terms of Justin Fields.
That noise you can hear is Ben wincing, by the way.
But in terms of for the Eagles last year, rookie head coach, and QB starting his first as a first-time starter, and they get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, should they be looking at the landscape of the NFC and saying, this is there for us?
And the NFC East in particular, right? I mean, I'm not convinced about Dallas. I don't think anyone's convinced about the Giants. Although, again, they're fascinating. I mean, Daniel Jones.
Don't tell Brian he's a Giants fan.
Are you convinced about the Giants?
Giants fan.
Are you convinced about him?
Well, I don't think it's going to happen.
That's a no.
Unless it's an MVP year.
Yeah, right. So it's a wide open division, and Washington, again, we've got so many questions there. So you would think it's Philly's division to lose. Of course, Jalen Hurts is the key here, because you mentioned Buffalo, and the progression in Josh Allen. It's unlike any other, certainly quarterback, arguably any player in the NFL, I would say, in the last 5 years, just how significant and dramatic that progression was. If you get half of that from Jalen Hurts, have to be a serious contender for sure.
Not the Dolphins. I have to ask you about the Dolphins. They've done a lot this offseason. You can argue they're one of the most aggressive teams in free agency.
Yeah.
New head coach, and they've essentially built what I'd say is a brand new offense. I mean, in terms of they brought in 3 running backs, different players, some experienced players who've been around the league quite a while. And then obviously the big trade with Tyreek Hill. But the inevitable question comes back to Tua. And there's such a divided opinion on him. It has been since the day when he came out. And I don't think it helps that he's come out of the same draft as Burrow and Herbert. And so where do you stand on the two? Because there's a lot of people feel if the Dolphins, there's a narrative out there, the Dolphins have a good season, but get beaten in the wildcard game. It'll be straight away. If only we had a better quarterback as an upgrade, we could potentially make a deep run in the playoffs. Do you go take that argument, or?
It's a good point. It depends on the manner of that defeat, I guess. I think if the Dolphins make the playoffs, even if they go out in the wildcard round, I think that's a good season. I think that's a progression that they will build on the basis Tua has a competent season. I think they're clearly back and they're clearly buying into McDaniel. Clearly buys into him. That's why they've made these acquisitions. One of the big misconceptions about Tua, I think, and this is something that Ben attests on the show, and Mike was making the point on it the other day as well, with Waddle and with Tyreek Hill, obviously the deep threat is there, and Tua doesn't have an arm. Tua has an arm. I don't know where this narrative's come from, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm definitely pro Tua. I feel the rookie season where he was essentially, when Fitz came in and was pinch hitting for him at times, I think was a mistake. And I'm a big Coach Flores fan, but I think that was a mistake. I think psychologically it said to him, you're not ready in this situation. We're going to bring somebody else in. Obviously, injury has hampered his progression and just change as well in terms of offensive system. If you think about quarterbacks in the past that were high round draft picks, Sam Bradford always comes to mind, but there are plenty of others who've had a difficult acclimatization because of so much change. Their progress was stunted as a result. And I think to some degree with Tua that's happened. I hope now they're setting the right course and they back him at least for a couple of seasons. I'm definitely for him, but going back to what we were saying earlier, I mean, he is, again, another story going into the season that divides opinion completely.
It's a really interesting one, and something I feel like we could talk about for the rest of the next 2 weeks. You're emceeing today at this fantastic event, Northwestern against Nebraska. Tickets are on sale now, ticketmaster.ie/touchdown Dublin. Can I just publicly thank, and I know we're all going to thank Nat and Nat, this whole team as well, for coming down. You've got Ben and Ollie there as well, coming down early this morning to come on this show at such short notice. We really appreciate your support. We'll happily come on your show anytime to repay the favour. And Nat Coombs and Nat Coombs Show, search it on your podcast provider. Loads of video content online as well. Nat, enjoy the game today.
It's been an absolute pleasure seeing you guys in person. You guys enjoy it too, and congratulations with everything you're doing with the show. It's absolutely terrific. Love it.
Thanks a million. First round is on Brian at about 9 o'clock tonight.
Thanks, Brian. Look forward to that.
We've got Sean Callahan coming up in a wee second, folks. A wee second, that really sounds good. Coming up in a few seconds, he is massive part of the whole Husker situation online. Looking forward to speaking to him. We'll be back in a few minutes after this very, very short break on the Irish NFL Show. Stay tuned.
Great.
Can you believe that a new season is on the way on the Irish NFL Show? Join us, folks, during the season. Monday night live, Thursday night live, and our Sunday show is going to be live on each Friday night. You can get your podcast for the Sunday in different segments around midnight on the Friday night. We are taking it up a gear this year. We're going all in for this season. Monday, Thursday, Sunday. You can listen to the Irish NFL Show on your favorite podcast provider. Just search Irish NFL Show with new and improved sound quality. And you can also check us out on the Irish NFL Show YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and search Irish NFL Show to get all of the content that is on the Irish NFL Show platforms. It's going to be a big season with London games, Munich games, Arizona for the Super Bowl. It's the biggest season ever. We want you to be a part of it. Search Irish NFL Show for full details.
You know why Madden's so different this year? Field sim. It changes everything. So I can finally throw the rock.
Hey, check it. Okay, I feel unstoppable. Losing's impossible.
And put the ball where only I can catch it.
Thing they know.
Yo, hit boy, what you think?
I could make the biggest hit in the game, man.
You ain't lying, bro. We live?
Oh, we live.
We made it till you got dollars. Go out and shop for you.
Taylor?
Wait, just
We're live.
wait, what? Slice up the defense with Field Sense.
You can do that too.
We need some big plays, big hits right now.
Say less.
Game on the
Woo. Now that's a hit.
time we do deep.
Touche.
So, what can you change with Field Sense?
Now, I don't judge, I sing. You staying down for the come up till I reign supreme.
Everything.
Let's get it. Yeah. Hit boy. We got another one.
Looking to get closer to the action? You need NFL Game Pass. The only place to follow your favorite team all season long. Watch every game live and on demand, or catch every touchdown on NFL Red Zone, and so much more. You're in control. Wherever you are, whenever you want. All year round. NFL Game Pass. Start your free trial.
Estimated crowd of 45,000 here at Croke Park in Dublin under the lights to cheer on Navy and Notre Dame. From the 5, Hollis rolling left. He's got a man wide open. Kriplevich, the tight end, touchdown.
With you live from Dublin in Aviva Stadium. Touchdown Notre Dame, Theo Riddick.
Welcome back in to the Irish NFL show, folks. Live from the Aviva Stadium, Dublin. We are a few hours out now from Northwestern playing Nebraska in the Lingus College Football Classic. And one guy that I've had the pleasure of meeting over the last few days, I met him on Thursday at the training practice, is a guy from Husker Online and a very influential reporter in Nebraska, Sean Callahan. Sean, it's honestly, it's a pleasure to welcome you on, and thank you for taking the time on the morning of the game to actually come up to the stadium and chat to us. It really, really means a lot.
Oh no, this is I'm having so much fun here, and when you asked me, I was honored. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
How have you enjoyed the experience this week? Because I know I was sitting at, I sort of said this the other day, I was sitting at the house the other day and seeing you and a few of the lads were having some pints. Was it Buskers, which is now Huskers bar? You seemed to have got around Ireland, but I know you were also here last year. Was that your first time in Ireland before?
Yeah, so I kind of began working with the organizers of the game in December. We had a marketing agreement to kind of market and promote the trip. So I came out here in December with Brendan Meehan, Rachel Stoops, Porco Kane, and really got a sense of what was going on. And they wanted me to go back and tell Nebraska fans everything to do. So I have such a following that I talk to. I do 50 public speaking events a year to Nebraska fans on top of my shows and radio. So they wanted somebody that could kind of spread the word to Nebraska fans, and because there's 12,000 Nebraska fans probably here right now, and we took over the Temple Bar last night, and that's not uncommon. I mean, when we play Northwestern in Chicago, they'll get 25,000 Nebraska fans in Chicago for that game. When we've played in Oregon, which is really far from Nebraska, we took over 20,000 fans to Oregon. We've taken over 20,000 fans to Washington. So it's 12,000 here is a really good number, and that's why Nebraska is playing in this football game.
Yeah, we've seen the sea of red, the images all over social media, and we're expecting it to be loud in here today. I suppose an off season of change a little bit. New QB transfer in and new OC. What are you expecting from this Nebraska offense?
Yeah, it's going to look a lot different in some respects. So you have 10 full-time assistant coaches on a staff. Nebraska replaced 5 of their 10 over the offseason. 4 of their 5 offensive coaches, the only coach that returned is the tight ends coach. And the other 4 are new. And then they shuffled around their defensive staff and made somebody a special teams coordinator. So that's the summary of the moves they made. But the biggest thing is Mark Whipple. So Scott Frost, he was a boy, either his mom and dad, they were coaches. They called the plays. He's called the plays as a coach, or his family, his whole time. This is the first time really in his football career, for the most part, where he's, as a coach especially, where he's not been the play caller. And he's not going to have he'll have a headset on, but Mark Whipple will operate and call this offense. So, that's what everyone's going to be watching closely, because it's really difficult when you're used to like pushing all the buttons, having that play sheet and calling those plays. He won't have to do that. But the hope is he'll focus more on the game itself and be up to date on the details of things going on in the game, because that was the problem with Nebraska. It's not necessarily been a talent issue. It's been the details. I mean, Nebraska lost the game to Michigan State last year. Michigan State did not have a first down in the whole second half. And they lost the game because a punter shanked a rugby punter, rolled out right to punt it right, and the ball went left. And Michigan State says, we're going to put 2 punt returners back there. And kind of like the safety guy caught it, and there was no return coverage to cover that guy, and he just got a clear path touchdown. And I mean, they found a way to lose almost every game, and special teams was a big part of it last year. They had Michigan beat. It was a tie game in the fourth quarter, in the final minutes of the game, and Nebraska gets a first down, 3rd and 5. The quarterback's running, gets the first down, and he still keeps running. You guys know what Aiden Hutchinson is, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aiden Hutchinson comes in and just shoots at Adrian Martinez's leg. The play should have been dead, and he fumbled it on that play. And then they lost the game to Michigan on that fumble. I mean, so that's how close they were. Michigan won the Big Ten last year. Michigan played in the college football playoff, and Nebraska was a moment away from beating Michigan.
Sean, you touch on, I suppose, the offense and the change you expect this season. Realistically, what do you feel is a satisfactory season with this team? Bearing in mind they were 3-9 last year. You look at the schedule, I wouldn't say it's a soft schedule initially, but there's very winnable games for Nebraska. But then you hit November and it's like Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, back to back, and that's a real grind.
Yeah, you look at the schedule. So last year, Nebraska played 8 opponents that won 9 or more games. It was, I believe, in the metrics, the second most difficult schedule in the nation, only to Indiana. And Indiana also had a bad year last year. So the schedule Nebraska played last year, that was a schedule pretty much built to get a coach fired. I mean, you know the way they played. And this year it flips. So there's no Michigan. There's no Michigan State and there's no Ohio State. Nebraska played Ohio State 6 straight years. They're off the schedule now, and that's a big change because Rutgers and Indiana, the 6th and 7th place teams in the Eastern Division, are now on the schedule for Nebraska this year instead of Michigan State and Ohio State. So just right there alone, they get a break in the schedule. As far as the record, they've got to make a bowl game. I mean, it's been the longest stretch in the program's history not to go to a bowl game. These last 5 seasons, 4 with Coach Frost, 1 with Mike Riley, to not go to a bowl game is unheard of. I mean, Nebraska had the nation's longest bowl streak, 30-some years where they went to a bowl game. They went to a BCS or, New Year's Six bowl game like 12, 13 years in a row. So to not be in a bowl game, they got to get to a bowl game, number one. But I don't know if it's necessarily a metric that has to be hit this year, whether it's 6, 7, 8, 9 wins. I think it's still about the feel. Like, does it feel like this is actually going in the right direction or not? So that's the challenge. And the new athletic director, Trev Alberts, played for Nebraska. In fact, he used to be an ESPN commentator. He was a studio host for college football many years ago. He was kind of like the back. Do you guys know who Kirk Herbstreit is? College Game Day.
Yes, he's now with Amazon, isn't he?
Yeah, so he was kind of like the backup Kirk Herbstreit at ESPN at one time, but then he became an athletic director. He was an All-American football player at Nebraska. So he understands the game very well. And he's been, I think, not critical, but he's been very present around Coach Frost. So there's pressure now because the AD knows what he's doing, and he has a standard that he wants the coach to follow.
I think, and this sort of stems when we're talking about the whole concept with not about college football. Sean, there are a lot of fans of American football here. Obviously, it's probably easier on a Sunday evening to watch the NFL. We do try to watch. I think Brian, you watch a wee bit of college football on a Saturday night. I think for a lot of people here today, you're going to have a lot of NFL fans, primarily who will watch college football. But I guess the one thing that we all have in common in Ireland, the UK, Europe, if you're coming over today, is this: we enjoy watching the NFL, and we really get into college football, especially around that bowl season and around the draft. Is there anybody today maybe that could play that you could see maybe be drafted highly next year, or maybe in the first 3 to 4 or 5 rounds that we should be looking out for today?
Well, there's one first-round pick in this game for sure, and that's on Northwestern's roster. Their left tackle, Peter Skoronsky, he's regarded as an All-American tackle, and he'll be Northwestern had a first-round tackle, I believe, in 2021 as well, and he'll be a first-rounder as well. So that's the guy. But the matchup with him against Garrett Nelson and O'Shawn Mathis, those are the two edge rushers for Nebraska's defense. O'Shawn is a transfer from TCU. He was regarded as the top player in the transfer portal in the spring, and he came to Nebraska over Texas, and he grew up just outside Austin, Texas. So that was a big victory for Nebraska to get O'Shawn Mathis. But that matchup will be something to watch very closely. I mean, Nebraska's got some good receivers, but to say that they're that high, it's really, really hard to say. But I would say that Northwestern's tackle is definitely a guy. You know, they had a defensive back at Northwestern last year named Brandon Joseph, and he was All-American level, and he transferred to Notre Dame. The transfer portal has changed college athletics. I mean, Nebraska added 15 transfers this year, 15 on their roster. So if you're Pat Fitzgerald, you're trying to break down quarterback film, running back film, receiver film, defensive film, new film on Mark Whipple because of all this stuff. So, you know, the opening play script that Nebraska comes out with, I'm going to be fascinated by, because I think you've got to get Northwestern off balance. You know, Pat Fitzgerald's run the same defense for like 20 years, so you kind of know what they do. But, you know, they don't know what Nebraska's going to do, so Nebraska's got to take advantage of that today.
And we know you've talked about all you do with the Huskers, but we know you're also a big NFL fan. Rivals of myself and Michael with the Kansas City Chiefs, and talking there about offensive play scripts. I mean, is there, we're talking about Big Red here, Big Red Andy Reid. Is there a better man in terms of devising offensive schemes in the entirety of the NFL? What are you expecting out of the Kansas team, given, you know, the transformation we've seen, obviously moving away from Tyreek Hill? We've seen a little bit maybe in preseason, they never give too much away, but it looks like they might be changing things up there in Kansas City a little bit.
Yeah, losing Tyreek Hill was big. You know, I've covered Tyreek Hill since he was in junior college. You know, Nebraska tried to recruit him, and he went to Oklahoma State back then after his junior college run. But can they replace that big play stuff? Because when you get 60, 70-yard plays in NFL games, that's unheard of. And Tyreek Hill was good for one or two of those every game. And can Andy Reid find that again? You know, we're going to find out. I mean, I think having Kelsey as a tight end, he could end up being the best tight end ever to play the game. And Mahomes could be the best quarterback to ever play the game when it's all said and done. But, yeah, there's so many questions still. But I would be shocked. I mean, I really think the Chiefs are going to be right there again, even without Tyreek Hill. I mean, I know I grew up a Chiefs fan my whole life, so where I live in Nebraska, we're 3 hours from Kansas City, and you know, we'd go to like one Chiefs game a year, and it was so much fun to go down and just drive down to the games. And it's a great fan base down there. Love the Chiefs, and getting Andy Reid was just a home run. You know, after the Eagles just said we don't want you anymore, and changed the NFL.
Never had a losing season while he's been Chiefs head coach, as we can testify to.
Who's your team?
The Broncos.
The Broncos. Okay.
And Brian's a Giants fan, and we're both Broncos fans.
Hey, you got Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting in the AFC West this year.
Nebraska's first Big Ten game was at Wisconsin in 2011. And Nebraska was picked to win the Big Ten. They had to play in Wisconsin. It was just electric. And Russell Wilson started that game, and just, I mean, it was an incredible show. Wisconsin was loaded. Like, that team could have won the national championship, but they kind of stubbed their toe a few times. But man, Russell Wilson was as good of a one-year Big Ten player as you're ever going to see.
Sean, despite excuse me, all the success over the past number of years for the Chiefs, is there a sense of frustration for fans? Because I think of the Saints in a way, like they had that miracle play against Minnesota. They lost on the bad ref call in the championship game, and the Chiefs lose to the Patriots in the championship game. Then they win the Super Bowl. Then they go to a Super Bowl and they get ravaged by injury with the offensive line. Lose to the Bucs, blow an 18-point lead last year in the championship. There's so many missed opportunities for a team that, with the quarterback in which they have and the players around, that they potentially should be winning a number of Super Bowls. Is there a sense, whilst there's excitement, is it frustrating at times?
Yeah, I think we're spoiled as a Chiefs fan, and that game against Cincinnati, I mean, they got cute, they got sloppy, and Joe Burrow made them pay on a couple plays. But the way they mismanaged the second quarter cost them that entire game. I mean, they win the game going away. If they kick the field goal instead of going for fourth down, it was just kind of like, whoa. But you know, it's interesting. Joe Burrow, I don't know if you guys know this, but Joe Burrow's dad and his brothers played football at Nebraska. So, and Joe Burrow wanted to be a Husker twice. Out of high school, they didn't take him. Then Ohio State took him. Urban Meyer just kind of let Joe Burrow go. You know, like we're going to go with Dwayne Haskins and Joe Burrow is going to be the backup. So then he went in the portal and went to LSU. Nebraska's special teams coordinator, Bill Bush, recruited Joe Burrow to LSU. The wide receivers coach, Mickey Joseph, was the wide receivers coach for all those great LSU receivers in the NFL. He was their coach. So I know you guys are NFL guys. That's a little nugget of, and so the former LSU receivers coach who has all those great players, he is Nebraska's coach today at receiver. He played quarterback for Nebraska. Mickey Joseph's his name. But yeah, Joe Burrow, it's a sore subject because the Bengals coach, I don't know if you guys know this, Zach Taylor, he was a Nebraska quarterback. He played here too. He was our last big conference player of the year on offense. We've had Ndamukong Suh won it on defense. Randy Gregory's a Husker. Ndamukong Suh, Levante David. I mean, those are some of our better ones. But yeah, Zach Taylor. There's a lot of pride about Zach Taylor. And the joke is like, well, at least one Husker gets to coach Joe Burrow. And they're doing pretty well together in Cincinnati.
Yeah, he had a lot to say. I think Colin and Brian were both at the media day at the Super Bowl. I was on flight to LA, and Zach Taylor was very excited for this game as well today. I know a lot of people, not just in Ireland but across Europe, are excited to watch the Huskers today. I want to thank you for coming on the show this morning, taking time out of your morning on a game day that you've waited months for. Wish you the very, very best of luck today, and please God, as we say here, maybe we'll see you in a few years again here. Who knows with Nebraska again. One thing for sure is they've travelled very well. That pop rally was crazy attendance yesterday, and it's going to be a good day. I'm presuming you're picking Nebraska to win, yeah?
Yeah, I've got Nebraska by about 10. I think the spread started at 13, and it's down to about 11 and a half. But I have a hard time. I mean, last year's Northwestern Nebraska game was kind of an anomaly. Like it was the most points and the most yards Pat Fitzgerald's ever given up in a game in his whole career. I don't know if they can do that again because Northwestern's going to try to slow this game down. They have 4 returning offensive linemen with Peter Skoronski and 2 good running backs. So they're going to try to limit possessions in this game, in my opinion, and keep the score down. Because if it gets high scoring, Northwestern has no chance in this game, in my opinion.
So if the line drops to 9.5 by 5:30 this evening, we should all.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Of course, Sean, and at Sean_Callahan on Twitter. Massive thanks to Sean for coming on this morning. We have got a guy from the Ringer coming on next. We have got Roger Sherman coming on to talk about a Northwestern as well. We'll get both teams going on. Sean, thanks a million. As we say here, safe home. See you again soon, hopefully, please God. And we'll be back in a few moments here on the Irish NFL Show. College football special. See you soon.
Can somebody?
Can you believe that a new season is on the way on the Irish NFL Show? Join us, folks, during the season. Monday night live, Thursday night live, and our Sunday show is going to be live on each Friday night. So you can get your podcast for the Sunday in different segments around midnight on the Friday night. We are taking it up a gear this year. We're going all in for this season. Monday, Thursday, Sunday. You can listen to the Irish NFL Show on your favorite podcast provider. Just search Irish NFL Show with new and improved sound quality. And you can also check us out on the Irish NFL Show YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and search Irish NFL Show to get all of the content that is on the Irish NFL Show platforms. It's going to be a big season with London games, Munich games, Arizona for the Super Bowl. It's the biggest season ever. We want you to be a part of it. Search Irish NFL Show for full details.
You know why Madden's so different this year? Field sim. It changes everything. so I can finally throw the rock.
Hey, check it. Okay, I feel unstoppable. Losing's impossible.
And put the ball where only I can catch it.
Thing they know.
Yo, hit boy, what you think?
I could make the biggest hit in the game, man.
You ain't lying, bro. We live?
Oh, we live.
You ain't made it till you got dollars. Go out and shop for you.
Taylor?
Wait, just
We're live.
wait, what? Slice up the defense with Field Sense.
You can do that too.
We need some big plays, big hits right now.
Say less.
Ooh, now that's a hit.
Touche.
So, what can you change with Field Sense?
I don't judge, I seen you staying down for the come up till I reign supreme.
Everything.
Let's get it. Yeah. Hit boy. We got another one.
Looking to get closer to the action? You need NFL Game Pass. The only place to follow your favorite team all season long. Watch every game live and on demand. Or catch every touchdown on NFL Red Zone. And so much more.
After 2 years, we're not done yet.
You're in control. Wherever you are, whenever you want. All year round. NFL Game Pass. Start your free trial.
Estimated crowd of 45,000 here at Croke Park in Dublin under the lights to cheer on Navy and Notre Dame. From the 5, Hollis rolling left. He's got a man wide open. Kriplevich, the tight end, touchdown.
With you live from Dublin in Aviva Stadium. Touchdown Notre Dame, Theo Riddick.
Hey folks, welcome back into the Irish NFL show, college football special. We are, how many hours now? 8 hours, not even, like 6 hours, I don't even know anymore. This week's been crazy in a good way. I love listening to the Ringer NFL podcast, and podcasts, there's so many of them, and I honestly, lads, I'm buzzing that we have got Roger Sherman on the show here. Roger Sherman is in Ireland for a start. He's wearing it, look, he's got the home field Northwestern jersey on.
There are not a lot of Northwestern fans here. Nebraska is much larger. They swarm like a swarm of locusts when their team is playing in a pretty much anywhere. Northwestern, we're a little bit more mild on that. So, but there's a few thousand of us, and we're representing pretty proudly.
I have to give a lad called Mark Hogan the credit for this. He sent me your tweet that you were in Dublin. And I went, he's not in Dublin. Really? So thanks a million for Roger coming on. Like, I'm taking your time out. I know you want to go tailgate and get this going. It's been, what, we're talking 9 months or 8 months since the college game for Northwestern. So it's been a long time. This game's a long time coming. Is this your first time in Ireland?
So my wife's family is Irish. Her mom's from Dublin. Her dad's from Kerry. So I don't know which GAA team I'm supposed to root for. It's big, but I was actually. I was actually over here anyway for her. Like they had a big family reunion with, Irish families are on like 4 continents, so everyone converged here. And I was here last week, and I was just like, well, my team is playing in Dublin for some reason. I'm just gonna stay, and it's been just an absolute great week. It's been incredible, and yeah, I've been here before. I hadn't been to Dublin before, but it's very strange that Northwestern football is playing a game in Ireland. It was supposed to be Illinois. The thing is, they wanted the Nebraskans because, like I said, Nebraska will take over any city that their team is playing in, regardless of whether their team is good. So it was Nebraska, Illinois scheduled for last year. There were some things happening in the worlds, and that didn't happen. And we got subbed in, and we are also buzzing about it. We don't say that in America, so I'm taking every opportunity I can to say that I'm buzzing about stuff.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what words you're going to take back, which, especially if your wife's family are from Kerry, there's some particular Kerry phrases that I don't know how they'll translate. Maybe we've had Lindsay Jones on the show a good few times, so maybe you and Lindsay can swap some Irish phrases now.
She's my editor. I'm very excited. I'm working with her for about a month now. She's awesome.
You are Northwestern alum, and obviously Pat Fitzgerald has been there like year 17. He's a guy. Michael got to meet him this year. He comes across incredibly well, and he comes really Irish. I mean, he's a storyteller. He absolutely has the gift. But what, like, from your experience with being there, and I suppose following the sport, will this be a bounce back year for Pat Fitz?
So he does have an ability to do bounce backs. We were not so good. We had this strange thing where Northwestern went to 2 Big Ten championship games in 3 years, and in between was just a terrible season. He's a big bounce back guy. I mean, even just so the story with Pat Fitzgerald is Northwestern is historically the worst college football program in the sport. They lost 34 straight games in the 1980s, which is an all-time record. And if you think about it, that's several seasons. There were people who got to Northwestern as a freshman and graduated as a senior without seeing the team win a game. And Pat Fitzgerald was a player in the 1990s. They won back-to-back Big Ten championships. They made a Rose Bowl, and then years later he became a coach very suddenly. He was in his early 30s, and the previous coach of the program suddenly died. And this is like June or July before a season. And they promoted him. He'd never been a head coach before. I don't even think he'd been a coordinator at the time. And he was all of a sudden the head coach at 32, 33 years old. And he's been the most successful coach in the history of the program. So it's year 17 for him. I think they could have, I've discussed this with friends. How many losing seasons would they have to have in a row for them to fire the guy who is the greatest player in program history, most beloved among the fans, and has won the most bowl? They won their first bowl game in 50 years under him. They've had the most success ever. So he's almost a mythical figure. And like you said, when he talks to you, he really makes you believe in whatever he's doing. Yeah. And that's kind of, it's interesting if you're Irish and you're a fan of the NFL, you're used to hearing about coaches being great schematically, great like with the details of the game. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, these guys who are innovating. No one could really tell you much about like Pat Fitzgerald as a great innovator or schemer, but he has the ability to go and talk to the 16 and 17-year-olds he needs to make the program and tell them, I want you to come to Northwestern. It's a tough to sell because we've got a small stadium. You're not if you go to a school like Nebraska or Texas or Alabama, you'll be the most popular person on the campus if you're on the football team. Northwestern's a small school. It's cold. A lot of the people are focused on their studies more than the football, and he somehow has been regularly able to get really quality football players to sign up for this mission that he has in Chicago. So thank you to the Irish for blessing Pat Fitzgerald with that magical ability.
It's an Irish-Scottish thing. I don't know if you've ever heard the story about Sir Alex Ferguson, and before a Manchester United game against Tottenham Hotspur, the players, I mean, again, people are talking about these big speeches and schematics, and the players, and it was against Spurs, and United always beat Spurs, and the players are getting ready, and Roy Keane tells the stories in the dressing room, and Ferguson just walks in, and he looks at the players, and he goes, "Lads, it's Spurs." And he walked out the door. That's all he had to say. And United hammered them 3-0.
Fitz probably would say a few more words. But, like, honestly, we're 13-point underdogs. Yesterday they had a pep rally in Marion Square. And, there were some people up there who were like paid to be good speakers. Like they had American sports journalist Michael Wilbon, who's on a TV show every day. And he got up and he was, he talked about stuff. And then Pat Fitzgerald got up and I was fired up. I was like, we have a chance at this game, even if we're 13-point underdogs. It's an amazing quality to have. And surprisingly important in college football. It's a very strange thing that happens to be a really meaningful talent in the world of college football.
Roger, 2 quarterbacks, Ryan Helinski, I think I hope I'm pronouncing that wrong, and Brendan Sullivan, who has to have Irish heritage.
He's not Irish, I don't know what's going on there.
So maybe they just brought him over for this game. But during the week, Fitzgerald wasn't committing to either of them. He's obviously playing mind games. Who's going to... Does talking Nebraska preparing for a dual situation? What's your expectation?
So, first of all, if Pat Fitzgerald starts Brendan Sullivan in Ireland, hopefully the whole crowd will be on our side. I'm just hoping. But it's interesting. Again, if you're Irish, you're an NFL fan, you're probably used to getting, in the NFL, they give out extremely detailed information on who's going to be playing. They come out with a depth chart, the injury report. The league mandates that NFL teams give information about which players will be playing and who's starting and who's not. The practices are very closely scrutinized by media. In college football, it's really just up to the coach, whatever information they want to give. And I swear, every year, since I was covering the team as a student, if Pat Fitzgerald can hide a piece of information he will. I remember I was the thing that it brings to mind. I'll talk about the quarterbacks in a second. Sorry, I do tangents. I remember when I was a student, I was working at the student paper. We had a game against Michigan, and at the time their quarterback was Denard Robinson, who was like the greatest running quarterback anyone had seen at the time. This was like before Lamar Jackson. He ended up drafted by the Jaguars. They couldn't quite figure out what to do with him at the time, but we were playing Denard Robinson. We had a big game, and so he had Pat Fitzgerald. His coaching staff had this fascinating idea, in terms of game plan prep, where they put our kick returner, who was a little tiny guy, 5'9". He mainly played running back, and they put him in at linebacker just to spy on Denard Robinson. And they put this in practice, and my guys work at the student newspaper, they went to the practice. They saw this, but the Northwestern people said, don't tell anybody that this is happening. You're not allowed to tell anyone that this is happening. And you kind of have to say, well, if I did report this, it would be like a big, huge news story, but it would also really hurt the team's chances in the game. And we were students at the time, so that was a thing that was on our minds. And also, you would never be invited back. So I would strongly suspect it'll be Ryan Helinski. He played there last year. He was a 4-star recruit out of 5 from South Carolina. That's not out of South Carolina, but he was previously the quarterback at South Carolina and transferred. But it's been a few years since Northwestern had a quarterback worth talking about, and I suspect, regardless of who's starting, there will be
frustration.
There will be frustration, and at some point we'll probably see multiple quarterbacks. And whatever the plan is, they will do their very best to make sure we don't know it. And that's the way it works in college.
Let's bounce around one quick round of questions just before we let you go, Roger. For me, let's go NFL. Roger is a Jets fan, folks. He's a New York Jets fan.
Tragic.
As we say here, for his sins, maybe. But I'm only joking. My wee brother's a Jets fan. People like the Jets here. I think it's the green. What's it like being a Jets fan in 2022? Like, what's the expectation? Because I tell you what, Roger, you probably woke up this morning on Twitter and seen that Mac Jones play for the Patriots. You must be thinking, this could be it this year. The Jets could finish third.
I'll tell you this. It's actually quite easy for me because I've been working as an NFL writer for about 9-10 years now. And it has never been a conflict with my job whatsoever. I've never been at an important football game thinking, like, in the back of my head, oh, I'm a Jets fan. I hope the Jets win, but I need to write this story or whatever. If I was at a Super Bowl and the Jets were playing, I would be dying. I would be, like, unable to operate. And you know what? It hasn't happened in my lifetime, and it seems unlikely to happen until in the rest of my lifetime. So it's actually quite an easy situation for me. It's sad that the team is good, and yeah, the Patriots are. I have bad feelings about them this year.
It's interesting.
I don't know if any of your family or wife's family have told you about the Mayo curse. We had Arif Hassan on from The Athletic, and he was talking about the Minnesota curse. We were telling him about the Mayo curse. Mayo haven't won an All-Ireland in 60 plus years. Maybe feels the Jets are a little bit like that, cursed in that way. But I'm interested, I suppose, a little bit in, well, it touches on the Jets because Mekhi Becton injury, but Northwestern. What are you guys doing to produce like NFL quality linesmen? It's incredible. I mean,
if you're Irish and a little bit confused about why these teams are playing, why you should watch, Peter Skoronski, our left tackle, will likely be a first-round pick. I think he was named preseason All-America, the best offensive tackle in the country, and it's become a little bit of a thing because last year Rashawn Slater, the left tackle for the Chargers, was drafted out of Northwestern in the first round and instantly became not just like a good rookie left tackle, but one of the best left tackles in the NFL. And I'd honestly put it, I think it has to be with our offensive line coach. His name's Kurt Anderson. He also was the coach for Frank Ragnow at Arkansas, who's a first-round pick and is on the Lions, a center. So he's worked in the NFL, and he's very clearly knowledgeable about how to turn these players into first-round picks, NFL-type players. And that's sort of rare for a program like Northwestern. And they hadn't had a first-round draft pick since 2005 until Rashawn Slater last year. So, and the thing is, once you prove the ability to like create like players at a position that you're a school that can develop talent at a particular position, it becomes more attractive to the recruits from the next level who are thinking, I'd like to be an NFL offensive lineman. This is the place I need to go. You start to land a better quality. You guys, a funny thing that happens in American like college is like places will be like, we're DBU, like we're the university you go for if you're a defensive back, we're linebacker university, they like try to brand that way. And it really does seem like Northwestern is starting to land more good offensive line prospects, produce NFL talent multiple times. Once could just be you got a lucky guy. Twice, that's a sign you've got something working. And it's a shame because the whole multiple quarterbacks who they're out there protecting. Well, it's also a funny thing because apparently you could have an incredible left tackle and like one of the best in the world, and it doesn't actually win you the game. Like it's kind of a fascinating thing to see that you could have that football is such a complex sport that you really need everyone working together, and that you can see that this one guy on the field is just an incredible potential superstar, and you need 22.
Roger, if you look at the points in which the defense gave up last year, if you weren't really a keen college fan and you were going to the game today and you looked at all the Northwestern scores from last year, you go, oh my God. There's a storyline behind it. Like O'Neill, the defensive coordinator, was trying to implement the system last year. They're saying now it's bedded in. Are we going to see a big improvement in this defense this season?
Well, I after listening to Pat Fitzgerald yesterday, I'm going to say yes.
I didn't expect anything else from it.
It's tough. It's tough. So both of these teams had rough seasons last year, but Nebraska played a bunch of close games, had a bunch of tough losses. The sense around Nebraska is their record was not exactly a
reflection
representation of how good they were, and people were like, we need a better coach to win those close games. But still, it felt like they were better than 3 wins, 9 losses. Northwestern lost to Nebraska by 50 last year. Wasn't exactly teetering on the edge of who was going to win that game. But I do think last year was the bottom, and like I said, this is a guy who has built and rebuilt the program and been there for some of the ugly times and somehow made it surprisingly fun to be a Northwestern fan. And like, even if it's not this year, he just has such a proven track record of building it back up again. That said, like I said earlier, he could probably lose 5 or 6 seasons in a row and no one would get mad at him.
I'm not just saying this because the team is here. I was so impressed with him on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like the lad could talk me out of any situation, like, or he could convince me to do anything. Gentleman, he spoke, and I'm excited for today. I don't think it's so underdog as we all think. I think they're going to be pumped, and every player is like, oh, he's Irish. We have to win for him today. Like, that's it. They want to win this game for him. If this is the one game they want to.
And Northwestern plus 13.
Roger, obviously this is handy because you've got a really handy Twitter handle here at Roger. I don't know how you get that because that's incredible for a start.
I've got a there's a D in there, RODGER. Not a lot of people have that D. I just wanted to say, whenever I talk to American football fans from other parts of the world, it's like NFL, college, whatever. I'll be quick. Like in America, the NFL is the easiest sport to follow. You know, we play it in the schools. It's the most watched thing on TV. If you go up to someone and say, "Did you see the game last night?" the answer is probably yes. Everyone knows about it. And whenever I talk to fans from other countries, like, you really have to work. You know, the best games are on in the middle of the night. You could talk to people on the street and they'd have no clue what you're talking about. And yet, like, you could just see the passion and I always think it's just the coolest thing in the world that you guys have this community and this. So it's really awesome to see.
Massive thanks to you. Hopefully, please God, if we're maybe over in Arizona next year, we can meet up at the Super Bowl Media Week. Brian will get the big radio section going, and we'll do something together. Appreciate it.
Being married to an Irish person, I've learned that any chance you have to seek out the Irish people in a space, just go for it.
I thought you were going to say any excuse to go for a drink, Roger. That's Colum's excuse. Any excuse.
Win, lose, or draw. In recent years with the Broncos, it's been a lot more losing. So there's been
we haven't had the best of years between us. You know, between the Giants and the Broncos, it's not been good. So
it's
we're pleading for better times.
What's your team?
The Broncos, so you know.
Oh, 2 Broncos.
This is the year.
Hey,
a Broncos fan who supports Colorado sports. Just wait for the picks at the end. It's gonna be good fun.
We've got a lot of misery at this table, guys, and yet we're all laughing. It's
drawing the sorrows in a second. Here, Roger, thanks a million for coming on. Massively appreciate it. After the break, folks, I can't believe I'm saying this. Seriously, we've got a man Green and Kenny Bell coming on the show after the break. But a massive thanks to Roger. Check him out at Roger on Twitter.
Big drop off.
See you in 5 for these two. And Roger, thanks a million, man. Gura Mila my August. I can't. I'm too tired to say it. Gura Mila. See you soon. Thank you,
guys. That was.
Can you believe that a new season is on the way on the Irish NFL show? Join us, folks, during the season. Monday night live, Thursday night live, and our Sunday show is going to be live on each Friday night. So you can get your podcast for the Sunday in different segments around midnight on the Friday night. We are taking it up a gear this year. We're going all in for this season. Monday, Thursday, Sunday. You can listen to the Irish NFL show on your favorite podcast provider. Just search Irish NFL show with new and improved sound quality. And you can also check us out on the Irish NFL show YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and search Irish NFL show to get all of the content that is on the Irish NFL show platforms. It's going to be a big season with London games, Munich games, Arizona for the Super Bowl. It's the biggest season ever. We want you to be a part of it. Search Irish NFL show for full details.
You know why Madden's so different this year? Field sim. It changes everything. So I can finally throw the rock.
Hey, check it. Okay, I feel unstoppable. Losing's impossible.
And put the ball where only I can catch it.
Thing they know.
Yo, hit boy, what you think?
I could make the biggest hit in the game, man.
You ain't lying, bro. We live?
Oh, we live.
We made it till you got dollars. Go out and shop for you.
Taylor?
Wait, just
We're live.
wait, what? Slice up the defense with field sense.
You can do that too.
We need some big plays, big hits right now.
Say less.
Game on the
Woo. Now that's a hit.
time we do the
Touche.
So, what can you change with field sense?
now. I don't judge, I sing. You staying down for the come up till I reign supreme.
Everything.
Let's get it. Yeah. Hit boy. We got another one.
Looking to get closer to the action? You need NFL Game Pass. The only place to follow your favorite team all season long. Watch every game live and on demand. Or catch every touchdown on NFL Red Zone. And so much more. You're in control. Wherever you are, whenever you want. All year round. NFL Game Pass. Start your free trial.
Estimated crowd of 45,000 here at Croke Park in Dublin under the lights to cheer on Navy and Notre Dame. From the 5, Hollis rolling left. He's got a man wide open. Kriplevich, the tight end, touchdown.
With you live from Dublin in Aviva Stadium. Touchdown Notre Dame, Theo Riddick.
Welcome back into the Irish NFL show, folks. We are a few hours out from Northwestern against Nebraska. I'm going to go full screen now and show you who we have here. This is, like, we have done some incredible stuff, and it's so appreciated over the last couple of years, like Super Bowls, London games, etc. But to have Aman Green and Kenny Bell here this morning, this is unbelievable stuff. So a massive thanks to the team as well, and we'll talk about that in a wee second. Lads, welcome to Ireland, welcome to Dublin. Game day, finally.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. We had some golfing yesterday. It was a little rainy out, but got down here and just saw, like, wow, because it was more, obviously more people down here than up in Belfast and area. But excited to be here, ready to get the ball kicked off and everything.
Yeah, really excited. Waking up here in Dublin this morning. It's a beautiful city, great weather. It's a crisp morning, and it makes me feel like I'm almost playing. I'm excited. It's really cool to see the contrast in being up north, and it feels like more in the country, and then coming back down here into the Republic of Ireland, and it's a beautiful city. It reminds me kind of Chicago with the river through the middle, but it's gorgeous. People are friendly. It's a great city.
If you can tell everyone back home that it's always sunny like this as well, that'd be great.
I can't say that because that rain we were in yesterday golfing was torrential.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, it was. I'm not exaggerating. It was probably one of my favorite golf experiences I've ever had. But it was 20-mile-an-hour rains and or 20-mile-an-hour winds and just sheets of rain. It was, we earned it.
What did you shoot?
I shot 78.
Oh, that's pretty good going.
I played pretty well. It was fun.
Well,
nice.
I don't keep score. I'm just happy I hit the ball.
That's me as well. I just looked,
maybe, Ahmad, if we go back to your time playing,
right.
Obviously very successful period for you and for Nebraska.
Yes.
Would you, if you had, you won some nice stuff. But would you have enjoyed playing in a game like this?
100%. You know, I have a bucket list of places I always wanted to travel, and I know years ago when I was in high school, I had the fortunate chance to be on like an all-star team from Nebraska, and we traveled down to Australia. And in college, obviously, we went around a lot of places around the United States, but nothing like, you know, coming over the Atlantic, getting here. I mean, Kenny could probably relate to it too in some way, because when you play in another country, you see the customs, you see how they live, and you kind of relate. It's like, what's different, what's the same? But playing in front of a crowd, and I know we were just talking about Husker fans, how they travel. So being here is going to be really nothing different from being at home in Lincoln, because we know the fans are going to travel well. But it's cool to see, you know, how everybody does, you know, tailgating or celebrates, you know, fans from a fan standpoint, because I know I watch a lot of soccer, and seeing the fans, they always do their cool little songs while the teams are playing. But I don't know if they, you know, even though both teams are not from here, I just wonder what songs are going to be sung in the crowd while the game's going on.
Did either of you guys get a chance to play internationally in the NFL? Obviously the Packers.
Yes.
I mean, this is the first time they're coming to London this year, and you think this is nuts. It is fantastic today, but London in 2 months is going to be crazy. But maybe Kenny, did you get to go abroad with your team?
I never did. But I love it just watching. Like one thing that I love about watching those NFL games that are like being played in London is that people just showing up in like 1995 like Bears jerseys and stuff like that. Like it lets you know like people are there just like they enjoy the game, and I think it kind of brings the host country and the traveling maniacs like that love football so much. I think they blend pretty well, right? And I think it's something special that, and especially stuff like this and visiting Ireland and having different teams, right, get to visit. 'Cause I think next year Notre Dame and Navy come, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great little tradition that I think should last. That's for sure.
I like that you went with the 95 Bears, not the 85 Bears. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Most random.
You see the most random stuff. Yeah.
I'm interested, I suppose, from both of you in terms of like the transition from playing at college to playing at NFL level, because we've seen now like it seems like the gap between or the schemes seem a lot more in tandem. Like we're seeing guys say, you know, obviously it's gone on in the past, but more so than ever before, right? Justin Jefferson, right? Jamar Chase. But even on the O-line, right? You're seeing guys come in. Like Tristan Wirfs has looked like the best right tackle in the game as soon as he came in. Rashawn Slater, since he's come in. But for you guys, what was that transition from playing in college? Like what were the differences on going in to play on an NFL roster?
I would say for me, 1998, it was coming from Nebraska at a time where we ran the ball majority of the time. To now, I'm gonna be passing the ball more. You know, I'll be in a passing situation more often than I was in a run situation. So I had to pick up, you know, play calls and audibles, offensive line adjustments, and then the biggest thing for me, once I kind of knew a little bit in Lincoln about reading coverages, you know, what a cover 2 looks like, or a cover 1 man press, or cover 3, or if they're blitzing, if it's a corner, or if the safety's coming down. That was my biggest adjustment. And then probably it took the first half of the season, and then the second half I kind of got it down. And the same thing for my second year. First half of the season was a little bit rough, and then second half of the season I figured it out. And then by the time I got to my third year playing pro ball, and I got traded to Green Bay, that's where everything just came together, where I saw the defense and the game just slowed down for me, where I was actually seeing defenses pre-snap. I see the safeties rotate, so I'm like, okay, they might be blitzing from the left side. You know, they might be doing this stunt on the right side. So it was that third year for me when I got everything, you know, kind of came together.
I mean, AG makes a really good point. I think the biggest difference between college and pros, and AG can speak to his professional career much more so than me, right? Phenomenal professional career. But I think no matter whether it's your third year or your first year, like you've seen some of these younger guys that are understanding it, it's not so much that the guys are bigger, stronger, or faster at the next level. It's that they understand the game, right? They have these experiences that AG was just talking about that they recognize and can recall. So the game gets faster because the guys understand the game so much more, right? So much more in depth. It's not that they're getting bigger and stronger, right, as they're getting older. It's just that they understand what they're seeing over and over again, because football, it doesn't change. You could go back, you can go back 40 years. It's the same schemes. It's how well can you execute them across from your opponent. So I think some guys that clicks, like phenomenal talent, you're seeing young guys that's clicking in their rookie year and they're doing really well. Other guys, it takes time, 3-4 years to do that kind of stuff. So it just depends.
It's questions for both of you lads. We are under 2 weeks out from the season starting in the NFL season, and I know we all of us follow it religiously, whether we're involved or not. Whether it's rookies or some sort of storyline, is there one thing that you're really looking forward to this year? Because for me, it's at the minute it's Trey Lance and San Fran. It's seeing what's going to happen there. Obviously, there's situations in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers gets his contract, but Devontae's gone, etc. So even just from both of you, is there one big storyline that you're excited to see this season, or is it just everything?
I would say as a fan, everything, because there's a lot going on. I mean, my old teammate Doug Peterson is now taking over in Jacksonville. And we know where Jacksonville's been over the last 10 seasons. They're just trying to figure out football down there, and they got top 1% athletes for a lot of first-round draft picks, but can't seem to get it together. And then, like you mentioned, the Devontae Adams situation, him going to Las Vegas, becoming a Raider, being with his college quarterback, Derek Carr. For what I've told fans in Wisconsin, when I've done a lot of interviews since that trade has gone down, and that's what people ask me, and I'm like, I'm out of football. I was like, I'm not even in the locker room no more. But just to kind of put myself in that situation, I was like, look, it's still good players there. They drafted Christian Watson from North Dakota State. They got a young bunch of good wide receivers, and then Alan Exard, who's been there for the last 2 to 3 years, has now supplanted himself most likely as the number one receiver. And then he's a great blocker on top of that. They put him in and basically use him as another lineman or another tight end that can lock down and help out with the running game. So that's going to be interesting. And I tell fans, look, got good players. They're going to come out and play in preseason. Has been, you kind of saw a few people show up, like Romeo Doubs, and he's done a good job with that. So with that, Christian Watson and then the guys that's been there, I say, don't worry. It's just the first part of the season, and it's an NFL team. They'll figure it out come October. September is kind of the preseason and regular season or early regular season, but by October, that's when the team figures out, and the players, barring injury, as you know, barring injury, then they'll show up, and it's going to be most likely the same roster because they still got Aaron Rodgers. Devontae is one player, but it can make a big change. But remember, you still got it. One of the parts of that puzzle was Aaron Rodgers that helped Devontae become the receiver that he is.
Without a doubt. I mean, there's the number of storylines in the NFL this year are nuts. I think I'm very lucky and very fortunate to know guys that are playing in the league or coaching in the league. So I'm a little impartial to. I like seeing a lot of teams win because I want to see guys like some buddies do well. But man, I'm really excited about Russell Wilson being in Denver. That's my hometown. My father played for the Broncos. I'm really excited that Tom Brady is going to be slinging the rock again in Tampa. I think he's just great for the game. So it's endless. I can't wait to see if the Bears can win more than 3 or 4 football games.
What's the over under? 3.5?
I think the Bears are like 3.5. But every time I watch, I think Justin Fields is a phenomenal quarterback. I think he's unbelievably talented, but they can't protect him, and he doesn't have anybody to throw the football to. Like I think of a guy like Allen Robinson. Should have just been. This is somebody that should be talked about in the NFL the way Mike Evans is talked about. He's a dominant receiver, but he played in Jacksonville and then in Chicago. So it's just situationally he's had a tough go at it. So I digress a little bit. That was random, but
that's what we like on this show. It's all about tangents.
I had to throw a shot at the Bears for no apparent reason either.
Well, no, you're in good company. I had a Free the Chicago One campaign for Allen Robinson because I thought he was deserving of going somewhere.
Oh my
and that's not on Justin Fields, as you say.
No.
But when you look at, say, and we talked about this earlier on the show, when you look at what the Bills did for Josh Allen, when you look at what the Eagles have done for Jalen Hurts in terms of putting the pieces around him, what are the Bears? You go out, you trade up, you get your guy, and then you do nothing to help him.
Right. I mean, I think you can look at there's organizations that do that, right? I'm not going to sit here and live from my glass house and start throwing stones. But you can definitely say, and not just at the quarterback position. I think that's something that in the NFL isn't addressed really, right? Developing talent isn't something that is taken all that serious. You get cut and you got to find another team, and hopefully that team you fit in better situationally. But renewing and developing talent throughout the years is not something the NFL does because they know that they've got the NCAA to just start picking more and more talent every year. So
Right, exactly.
I feel like we could probably talk here for like 3 hours.
Yeah,
we could.
What time's the game?
That we want to get to hear about, I suppose, your thoughts on this Nebraska team. Obviously, coming off something of a disappointing year last year, but a lot of close games. They made some changes in the off season. What are your expectations for what Nebraska is capable of this year?
I'll say from last year, minus all the mistakes, I see a team that can learn from those mistakes and then, make themselves a team now when you see a game like this or Wisconsin coming to Lincoln or Nebraska going to Ohio State, where that team, the opposing team, has something to worry about. Because this is a team, like I said, this is a team that don't make a lot of mistakes. Because when you do that, when you see the mistakes that were made last season, that's where it leads to a loss. And so you take those mistakes away because all the talent is here, and all that talent now has 1 year to grow from a sophomore to sophomore to a junior, a freshman to a sophomore, and a junior to a senior at certain positions defensively and offensively. So if you have that, and then now also the coaches do their part. They put the players in the right positions. Then a lot of those games they lost, you look at about 3 or 4 games that were lost by 2 points, 3 points, or 4 points, and it was all little mistakes that got them there. And I'm not going to bring them up. We already know what they are. So take those mistakes away, then you could add another 3-4 wins, to the season, looking at 7 wins, maybe 6 wins to 7 wins, possibly 8-win season.
Yeah, it's hard for me to guess wins. I think most importantly, I have faith in the decision makers, right? Most importantly, up top, our AD, Trev Alberts, I think is an absolute stud. I think he's going to be one of the better, if not best, ADs in the country. So him at the helm with Coach Frost, bringing in some of the newer coaches, not that I have anything against the guys that departed, but the guys that he brought in, like Mickey Joseph, I think they align really well with what Nebraska football historically has been all about. And Amon said it perfectly. You eliminate some of those mistakes from last year, and it's a completely different team. And I think that's part of growth as not only as an organization, but personally as a kid, right? When I was playing back then, making those mistakes and then being able to review those and correct them makes you that much better moving forward, or traditionally should. So I think this team has tremendous potential, right?
Yep.
It's all about how they execute every Saturday for the next 12 weeks, and I think they're very capable, and I'm excited to watch them.
What people don't know watching this morning is these lads have sat waiting on us for a good 20-30 minutes, so we massively appreciate not just their time, but also the time of Executive Global Tours. You got JP over there as well in the team. Custom celebrity-led golf tours, sports-themed tours, food and wine, sounds really good, across Europe, Asia, Caribbean, and the rest of the world. You can go to executiveglobaltours.com for more. And the final question before we let you lads go is this. You've been around the island all week, yeah?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to be really annoying and say I think Belfast is the best. Which one have you enjoyed, or has it just been a selection you just enjoyed it all? Because you were in the bot in Belfast. Was it with the Trojans the other night?
Yeah.
The Knights, maybe?
It's hard to say. I really enjoyed Belfast. What I loved about Northern Ireland is the history. We visited Derry, or Londonderry, and we learned all about kind of what has been going on since Bloody Sunday, it was called. And it's been interesting being so far away from home and learning so much history, because in the States we don't have anything that was built in 1500, right? Everything is 100 years old. There's no rich real history. So I think that's been one of my favorite things, is really everywhere you go you can feel the history and the tradition, it feels like.
Yeah, I'm piggybacking with Kenny on there. Yeah, seeing the because I studied history in college. I was geography major, so seeing and being in the oldest bar that is on a golf links or a golf course up in Argyle yesterday, just seeing that's 400 years. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I could tell. One of the caddies showed me the difference between the stone that was laid way back in 1400 to the new rock now that it makes up the clubhouse and the store that was there where we bought some items from. To see all that, you could see, you could tell. And it's just interesting to see that. And then also the Giants Causeway. When we went to go see that, me being like I said, geography major, we studied rock, we studied formations, we studied the tectonic plates, and just how the earth creates that rock to make it have an 8-sided octagon. And it's that's crazy. You know, it's interesting, all crazy at the same time, and cool to see that, and now, you know, able to have it, you know, take a picture of it and then post it on social media. Just now it's going to sit there and, you know, be on my phone, and just I could go back and look at it like, man, this is some pretty cool stuff to have it here and to finally experience it, because this was, like I said, this was one on my bucket list. Get over to Europe, you know, come over to Ireland, Scotland, London, and other places that I would like to get here. Just get it, you know, go see here, and to have that now checked off is just like, it was totally worth it. Having a great time.
Game of Thrones territory up around the Giants Causeway
Yes,
as well.
it is.
Hey, I know everyone's loving that. Look, Amon Green, Kenny Bell, thanks a million, lads, for coming on, and thanks to the team as well at Executive Global Tours. We're going to be back after the break with our game picks, our expert college analysis, our game picks for Nebraska, Northwestern. But lads, thanks so much for coming on. Massively appreciate it, and safe home as well.
Yeah, all right.
You're welcome. Appreciate it, guys.
Yep. Go Big Red.
Yeah, go Big Red. Can you believe that a new season is on the way on the Irish NFL show? Join us, folks, during the season. Monday night live, Thursday night live, and our Sunday show is going to be live on each Friday night. You can get your podcast for the Sunday in different segments around midnight on the Friday night. We are taking it up a gear this year. We're going all in for this season. Monday, Thursday, Sunday. You can listen to the Irish NFL show on your favorite podcast provider. Just search Irish NFL show with new and improved sound quality. And you can also check us out on the Irish NFL show YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and search Irish NFL show to get all of the content that is on the Irish NFL show platforms. It's going to be a big season with London games, Munich games, Arizona for the Super Bowl. It's the biggest season ever. We want you to be a part of it. Search Irish NFL show for full details.
You know why Madden's so different this year? Field sim. It changes everything. So I can finally throw the rock.
Hey, check it. Okay, I feel unstoppable. Losing's impossible.
And put the ball where only I can catch it.
Thing they know.
Yo, hit boy, what you think?
I could make the biggest hit in the game, man.
You ain't lying, bro. We live?
Oh, we live.
We made it till you got stars. Go out and shop for you.
Taylor?
Wait, just...
We're live.
Wait, what? Slice up the defense with Field Sense.
You can do that too.
We need some big plays, big hits right now.
Say less.
Woo, now that's a hit. Touche.
So, what can you change with Field Sense?
I don't judge, I sing. You staying down for the come up till I reign supreme.
Everything.
Let's get it. Yeah. Hit boy. We got another one.
Looking to get closer to the action? You need NFL Game Pass. The only place to follow your favorite team all season long. Watch every game live and on demand. Or catch every touchdown on NFL Red Zone. And so much more. You're in control. Wherever you are, whenever you want. All year round. NFL Game Pass. Start your free trial.
Estimated crowd of 45,000 here at Croke Park in Dublin under the lights to cheer on Navy and Notre Dame. From the 5, Hollis rolling left. He's got a man wide open. Kriplevich, the tight end, touchdown.
With you live from Dublin in Aviva Stadium. Touchdown Notre Dame, Theo Riddick.
Irish NFL show. Welcome back in. We're still here, Tom Brady style. Tom is actually back in Tampa Bay, but that's a discussion for a different show, lads, over the next few days. And I know we've a lot to talk about. Just before we get our game picks in, we've got predictions and our thoughts for different divisions. We've got the AFC North one on YouTube immediately at the moment on who's going to win that. AFC South one dropped last night. So if you do get time, folks, over the weekend, check it out. We've got 2 more going in the AFC over the next few days, including the East and the West. Right, we are we're 6 or 7 months out from SoFi, from the Super Bowl. This is our first time doing a live show since, and I have to say it's been really, really enjoyable for a start, and we'll talk more about this at the end. But I think this is a great day for the sport in this country, on this island, and I think this is the start of something special, and it's going to be on every year, lads. And I think we've got a good game today. I know, Brian, you were saying the line's like 13, 14 points.
It's dropping by the hour, Michael.
It's dropping by the hour.
What I like to see. I like to see a line dropping, and then everybody just gets happy and throws a few quid on the right selection, Michael.
5:30 kickoff. Fox Sports, not televised in Ireland or the UK, so you have to either fly to America, watch it in Fox, and hello to everyone watching in Nebraska and in the Evanston, Illinois area as well. Met a lovely amount of Nebraskans last night. Big shout out to Erin Sorensen, who we should have brought on the show. She was great crack last night as well. She tweeted the Tato picture. Colin, there is a game today. Who's winning the game and why?
Roger talked about, I suppose, the impact of Pat Fitzgerald and the fact that he is such an inspirational leader. I think that will mean that Northwestern are much more competitive. Last year, you heard earlier, most points ever given up by a Pat Fitzgerald team, most yards ever given up by a Pat Fitzgerald team. I don't expect something like that this year. I think it will be a closer game. But you also heard Roger talk about the fact that Pat Fitzgerald could have another 5 or 6 losing seasons in a row, and he would still be in charge of Northwestern because of what he's achieved for that program, that institution. For me, that is not the case with Nebraska. Nebraska are in a situation where Scott Frost simply has to win. If they do not have a winning season this year, that's it. He's out. They've made a huge amount of changes on the offensive side of the ball because they need to get better on that. To me, therefore, close game. But I just think for Northwestern, it could be a situation where it's a little bit like our Broncos and Brian's Giants. The team just doesn't have enough points in it. That's what I think ultimately is going to cost them. So for that reason, I'm going to say that Nebraska wins this, but it's an awful lot closer than last season's game.
First pick of the season's in. I've missed making all these graphics and doing this.
Right. You have, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It's a long winter ahead for you. So.
It is not this year. It's going to be a good crack. Northwestern, Nebraska, Brian, college football expert, Brian O'Leary.
Absolutely.
Who have you got today in this game?
Absolutely. I am going to go in Nebraska, but I will slightly change.
He's give his pick. There we go. It's gone. There we go.
No, but I'm going to give a storyline behind it.
Okay, go for it.
I would differ from Colin. I don't think it will be a close game. I think there's too many unknowns with this Northwestern team. Like the fact that Roger said, we've obviously asked the question, but there's 2 quarterbacks going into the game. Nebraska are preparing for dual situations. To me, that strikes me as a team that doesn't really know who their best quarterback is, and the fact they're talking about a redshirt freshman potentially playing, and whatever about the Irish name, the fact that he's going to step in potentially at some stage during the game doesn't really bode well. Okay, he might have a great game, who knows. Defensively, O'Neill, defense coordinator last year, tried to implement the system. They're saying it's bedded in now. We've seen other colleges in the top 10 program who bring in defensive coordinators, and they're able to bed that in that season. It doesn't take the second season. You look at the points in which they gave up last season, you'd argue nothing was bedded in last season. Probably been a bit harsh on the team and defensively. But then Frost is under pressure, but he still has more stability. We're going to have a packed crowd from Nebraska here today, which is a huge impact on any game. And when it's NFL or college, to have a team behind you, to talk about 15,000, 16,000 travelling. On top of that, then there'll be a lot of people who obviously will side with one team or another. But ultimately, I think it'll come down to the fact that it's more like a home game. It is a home game for Nebraska, albeit it's over here. more stability. Frost is under pressure. Colin said you have to win games. I think he's in a situation where they have to win games convincingly. I'm not saying he's going to lose his job, but like the likes of this game and then the next two games to come up, you looked at the schedule, we spoke about November being a really difficult time for them. They need to be winning at least 5 or 6 games going into that November run. But I think inevitably, I think they'll end up winning 5 or 6 games this season. Then ultimately it'll be down to how they play throughout the season. And I think these type of games today, they need to be going out and winning handsomely. So I will be, from a betting perspective, I will be taking the handicap. I'm glad to see it's dwindling as the day goes on. It started at 13, I think it's down to 11 now. Potentially might hit 10. I'll be on that, and I'll be expecting Nebraska to win comfortably.
Ireland, this is a new segment this year. Ireland is picking Nebraska. I think last time I checked, 75% of people following our Twitter account at IRENFL. My bad for not doing an Instagram poll, but we'll do that during the season. They're going to go with Nebraska. So first off, before I give my pick, I have to say, for both fans, in terms of the fan bases here, and Brian spot on, there are a lot of Nebraskans here. I think Sean Callan said there's 12. The Chancellor of the university the other day said he expects up to 14,000 today. And then you mix that with Northwestern. But I've met both sets of fans, and they've honestly been great crack, and I've really, really enjoyed it. The experience, I've been down here since Thursday. But I went to the training session for Northwestern on Thursday morning, and Pat Fitzgerald just wooed me to the point where I don't really care. I'm just going to pick them for the crack, lads, and just say that somehow Northwestern win this game today in a shock result, in a great game, that if this happened, it would put this game in Dublin firmly on the spotlight. Because if you're sitting here tonight at 8 or 8:30 and Northwestern have beaten Nebraska, what you said about Scott Frost and the players that they have as well, it would be a hell of a result. And also, I'm a Broncos fan, so I'm not picking Nebraska or else I'll be killed. So we're going to go Buffs. And we've got this today. I was going to wear it yesterday. And big shout out to Homefield, who we want to jump on some merch this year. We'll see what happens. Roger had some on. I'm going with Northwestern.
The fancy dress show is on tonight, so Mike is holding back.
This is great. This year is great. And Roger had the Northwestern. It was nice t-shirt.
It was. I just want to also say that Pat Fitzgerald did. There was a suggestion he would come on the Irish NFL show. In fact, he remembered the Irish NFL show. He called it out immediately in the interview, which was really good. And it's great to see people being supportive of our show. When the camera went off, I believe he said to Michael, "I will come on your show on the basis that you pick Northwestern to win the game."
He did not say that. He said he'd come on the show. But I tell you, I was. Look, the man's busy. I was surprised he remembered this, but here, fair play to him. But also, not just that there, just finally on this, I know every team does this, but the way in which he brought the team around at the end of practice, done a huddle, done the song, families were there. They have a lot of family members. I think there's like 60 families over, like people and families over. It's a big moment for both teams. I just feel like, okay, maybe if it is a Nebraska one, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be close, personally, because I feel as if that Northwestern team, obviously they're always going to want to play for their coach, but they feel today like they have to take it up a level because they're in Ireland, because the coach has got Irish heritage, and it means an awful lot to this university because they're a small college. And I think, I have no indication of this whatsoever, I think we'll see them back here over the next 5-year period at some point in this agreement. While we're at that, just a big thanks to Aer Lingus and the Aer Lingus College Football Classic for helping us get this over the line today. Honestly, the team at corporate.ie, you got Porrick, Brendan, Sabrina, and Rachel's been a massive help. So I know we massively appreciate their help. A huge thanks to all the guests, and we said it with Sean, for example. Like, these are people that just took their time this morning to come out and chat to us. Thanks to Dan, to Shane, Miriam at the Aviva for doing this, and that's it. The season started. Here we go. Are you prepared? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I am very glad. I was saying this to Aman actually, that when I saw the game in 1991, it was bitterly cold. It was one of those days, those Irish days that you get in August where it might be November. I'm delighted that isn't the case today, and I think it's going to be a fantastic occasion.
From the sun cream in SoFi to the sun cream today, I think we're going to be secure in the area in which we're going to be sitting in during the game. I'd just like to I said it earlier on when that comes on. I think back to last year, we did our week 1 preview show here. At the end of that show, we discussed this game, this day itself, and it's been so long overdue. There's been so many difficult times for a lot of people during COVID. We've had 2 games cancelled, and to finally be here on the day, less than 2 weeks out to the new NFL season. So, as we said on the show, Thursday, someone suggested that, where's the off-season gone? I know it's been busy, but it's also been torturous. So the fact that we're here today, competitive action it feels like we really are back properly, and I can't wait to have another good season with the boys.
Yeah, and over the next 2 weeks, we have got the rest of our AFC previews coming out, then NFC previews, and then the week after next, we have our season previews where we give our picks, and we're not going to give away any predictions today, don't worry. But looking forward to it. It's a busy time. We've got the London games coming up, we've got the Munich game, and we've got Arizona happening in February, so it's going to be good fun. You can bring the sun cream, you bring the shirts. Nobody's mentioned this shirt yet.
I've held back. Nobody.
I want to give a big shout out to Matthew on the camera. Matthew, this is our first time going out live with Matthew, and the way that he's produced this today is superb. We can't thank Matthew enough. And also thank Cassidy Travel for the support, as you can see on the ad breaks. Cassidy Travel, search Cassidy Travel. They've got loads of NFL deals, and they're industry leading in terms of pricing. Doesn't matter if you're in Ireland or the UK or wherever, because we got pre-clearance in Dublin Airport. Fly over, have a look at the offers. The offer this week is that Rams 49ers game, €1196 tickets, etc. Check it out on the website. And also thanks to Madden, EA Sports Madden, for the codes. All you gotta do is retweet that tweet, and you'll be playing me and Colin and Madden, and Brian on the PC or Nintendo 64.
Sega Mega Drive.
And also the team at NFL Game Pass as well for the support. It's been a mad few weeks. I hope everyone enjoys the game today.
Michael, you could technically, I think, go from watching the college game, today. So if you were to come down to the Aviva, you could watch the college game. You could get on your Game Pass, which you can register for free, and you can watch the last of the preseason games.
You can.
So football is back.
It's back. We are, I don't know how many days, Brian, out from the season. September the 8th it starts. That's us. That's us, yeah. Have you anything else to say? Anything else you want to add to this broadcast today?
No, just I'm totally delighted that we've had this great opportunity. You've thanked the right people today, and I'm glad everybody's come together. And we've worked very hard over the past few weeks, some more than others, but we have done a lot in the offseason. Like, again, we've touched on this before at the end of last season when we were in SoFi. All this doesn't just come together. There is a lot of stuff in the background and a lot of support from our sponsors, and we have new sponsors this season as well, which is commendable because they've recognise the hard work in which we did last year, and they want to be on board and help us to grow the show even more. So let's get the season underway today. College football next weekend again, and then Thursday week the big one, and a great game to start the season, Rams against Bills. I mean, that's Super Bowl material. To have that as the first game is really exciting.
And finally, big thanks to Emmett for helping every guest get in here today. That is us. That's us for now. That's us now. So it is. Go Northwestern. Go Big Red as well. Apparently, if you're around Dublin, say go Big Red, you get a big cheers. So go Big Red, go Cats. I think Northwestern's going to win it for the crack, lads. But here, seriously, see you lads soon. If you see us at the game today, say hello. Would love to chat. I chatted to a few people yesterday. Do give us a shout. Enjoy your day in Dublin, folks, and we will see you soon. Gurmy up.